Hey girls, here's a 20-minute yoga session that you might like to do to bring about a little bit of calm, a little bit of relaxation. Also an opportunity to release some of the tight areas that often become restricted when we sit a lot. Obviously because you're sitting at your desks, or that you're sitting at your laptop, or maybe not even sitting in the right kind of chair and still trying to do your homework and all of your tasks whilst you're in lockdown. So I hope you enjoy it. If you come and find a space, I've got my mat here, but you might just have, say, something like a towel, and you might be in your bedroom. It really doesn't matter where you do it. We're not going to move away from this space area, which would probably be about the size of like a beach towel, and that's all you'll need for our practice. Our 20-minute session together. The first pose that we start with is, we call this Sukhasana. It's an easy sitting pose. It's not always easy for everyone, particularly if you found that your hips are a little bit tight, but we're going to try and stretch out the lower back in this first part here. If you pop the palms of your hands down towards the floor here and start to just creep forward. Now, as you creep forward, you also want to be quite mindful that you don't let your bum leave the mat or leave your towel or the carpet, whatever you might be on, because we're really trying to make sure that your sit bones, little bony parts of your bum, are staying attached to the floor here. Let your hands press down into the floor and push them forward, and you're going to feel how you sit right back onto your sit bones. And then breathe out, take this around towards your right hand side. Keep nice and low, and keep the chest quite close to your thigh. Feel that nice stretch that's going to start to come more obvious down through the left side. Maybe even walk the left hand a little bit further, but remember, you're going to stay sitting on your sit bones, onto your bottom. Walk the hands in, come upright, bring your left hand onto your right knee and take your right hand around behind you, and use this to take the spine into a really nice deep twist. Now sometimes even when we twist, I know that when I teach you in class, you'll often hear this little pop, and people will go, miss, I just heard my back have a little bit of a, like a noise, and it's nothing that's dangerous or nothing like, some people say, miss, my back cracked. Didn't actually crack, it was just a little bit of gas or air that sits between our vertebrae, and it sometimes gives us a little bit of relief as well. It's sometimes really nice to get that feeling like you've released your back here. So allow yourself to go into this really nice deep twist. Keep hold of the knee as you breathe in, unravel out of the twist. Take your right arm upwards towards the sky, and you're going to lean over to this left hand side. That right arm hugs your ear, you reach long with that right arm, and you're really trying to lengthen the arm nice and long for me here. Reach, extend out through those fingers, sit down into that sit bone. Again, you want to make sure that you haven't done this little tipple topple off towards the side. Take that same arm and bring it onto your other knee, and now you've got these two arms and this big X. If you remember things like cat-cow, this is what you're going to do for me here, imagining that you're on your hands and your knees. As you breathe out, you'll round your back, you'll drop your chin into your chest, and you'll pull back into this big round spine. And as you come out of it, you want to imagine you're in this little cow pose where the chin moves up towards the roof and the back extends. There's going to be two more of those. Exhale as you round into cat. You're going to inhale, arch the back, and extend. Good, one more exhale. Good, and then inhale. Perfect. Have the back nice and flat. Release these arms. Stay with them in this big X. And when you're ready, they do this double twist. Now we call these eagle arms because they go with a pose which is called eagle pose, and the legs do this same little double twist. So it's like a big cross, and then they do one more wrap around, and then we wriggle like a little snake. These arms go up super high. So you're going to lose the side of my face, but you'll see how your elbows are about the same height as your shoulders. And this is so you can get this really gorgeous stretch right across the back of your shoulder blades. So think about separating your shoulder blades a little bit more, almost like you can sort of pull them apart, pull them away from your spine. Keep elevating the elbows, and imagine that you can reach your hands up towards the ceiling. So this is a really great way to try and release a little bit of tension into that back. Stay with the arms, but tip them out to your left, so that there's like little windscreen wiping to the left. And then as they go to the left, tilt your head to the right, so opposite to where those hands have gone. Okay, this is going to give you a little bit of a stretch down that side of your neck. And I know that when you have to sit for such long periods of time, things like backs, things like necks and shoulders, they really get a lot of tension and a lot of load put into them. So sometimes it's really nice to get out of this. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch. Good. Bring your head back to center. Bring those arms back in. Ease the arms down into your belly and unwrap. Just going to try it on the other side. We always switch sides and switch legs, because as I now bring this other leg in front, a little bit more obvious stretch is going to sit over here in this hip. Pop the hands back onto the floor. From your hips, fold forward. Yep, reach the arms all the way out in front. Relax your head between your arms here. Remember on that first round, we press the palms of the hands into the floor in order to sit us back onto the sit bones. And this is so that we get a really great stretch into the lower part of our back. We take the twist around to the other side now, so walk the hands. And as we take that twist, again, we're nice and low in our profile, so our chest is close towards our legs if we can. Rolling this right bum cheek down towards the floor, okay. And rolling the chest towards the floor as well. So we're really sort of close towards the floor line here. Walk the right hand just a few more steps forward, and then start to feel how you can get more stretch down this right hand side. Take a breath in, walk the hands in. Your trunk gets to lift up. Right hand, left knee, left hand around behind us. Lift tall, so you feel like that you've got a few extra centimeters up your sleeve. Yeah? And then go with this big left hand turn, drop the shoulders, and breathe out and twist. Breathe in, unravel, but keep hold of that knee, and the arm will go up towards the ceiling. Lean over to the side for me here, so big tilt all the way over to this right hand side here. Reach out long with the arm, and really sit down on those sit bones. Again, you don't want to flip up off them. That hand goes to the knee. We've got this big X of the arms around the back for your seated cat. Exhale. Good. And then inhale. Nice big arch back. Good. Exhale around the back. Good. Breathing in. And go for one more. Exhale around the back. And breathing in. Extend the spine. Good. Back to a nice neutral spine. Let go of those legs. Remember we did the eagle arms. Up they rise. Take that extra little twist. It's like a bit of a pretzel arm. Elbows shoulder height. Find a little bit more space across those shoulder blades. Widen and broaden the back. These arms will tilt out to your right this time, and then the head goes opposite those hands. Your head will tilt left. Return the head back to center. Ease these arms really slowly back down and get ready to unravel the arms. Take your right leg out in front and bring your left leg into, I'll show you this way. So I call this like a seated tree. Yeah. Okay. As we take a breath in, these arms get to rise high. When you breathe out, you want to hinge from your hips and fold forward. Now you're going to start to feel this in the back of the leg. You're going to feel this into the hamstrings. Okay. But you might also feel it into the lower part of your back here. Okay. And that's because we've had this sort of fold forward. So often our lower backs get a little niggly when we've been sitting for long periods of time as well. So just nice and slowly. Remember, our yoga practice is always about being very slow in most cases, but also breathing our way through so that we can relax the muscles, so that we can relax the whole of the body. So your mind and also your body here as well. As the chest floats towards this right thigh a little bit more, maybe we can feel a bit of a deeper stretch into the back of those legs. Breathing in as we release and we bring the body back up. This left leg that's out to the side, that looks a little bit like a butterfly position, it jumps over the right leg here. And your right arm gets to lock it up and into place. Once again, lift tall here, lift up out of the hips. And use his back hand to again, maneuver you around into that twist. Keep sitting. This left sit bone, change directions for you. That left sit bone, really glue it down towards the floor, and then you get to lift up out of it. Okay. And if your glutes, your bum's a little bit tight, then you're going to feel that sort of stretch start to radiate into those deeper bottom muscles. And very slowly we get to untwist or unravel. Now take a slight lean over to your right hand side and then just swoop that leg around and drop the top knee down on top of it. So we've got our two knees. You can see how I've stacked my two knees over the top of each other here. And I have the two legs or the 2 feet out from underneath it. So we call this the head of the cow pose. Where it's going to probably be a little tougher for us is over here in this side here. Okay, so we want to really roll, make sure that both of our sit bones, both of our bottom cheeks have the same level of weight into the floor here. Okay, and if we feel that we can go a little deeper with it, then we start to creep the hands forward and we fold more and more forward. And then you'll start to feel that real ouchy factor come into this left glute here, this left side, this left hip. Breathing in, walk the hands slowly back in and the trunk gets lifted back up. Now we get to switch legs. So that leg that's on top becomes your long leg. The other guy just slips out from underneath. Yep. Okay, so let's do it on this side here. Breathing in as we let those arms lift and rise. And breathing out as we follow the hips and we come forward here. So again, it doesn't matter that you can't grab your toes. It's not about touching your toes. It's not about laying your chest onto your thighs. It's basically being able to hinge from these hips and then just softly fold forward. It's not about can I get my head to my knee and just round my back, because then you're not going to feel it in those hamstrings. And if you want to feel it into the hamstrings, the backs of your legs, then you want to fold at that crease line that sits there across the hips. Chest to thigh, crown of the head reaching towards the foot or towards the toes here. Breathing in as we let the trunk lift. Jump this right leg over the top. Grab it with the opposite arm. Again, watch that you haven't lost this posture so that you don't feel like you're all sort of slumped here. You want to lift tall from the crown of your head and really draw this leg into your body so that you can get this stretch going on to the bottom. Back hand sits behind you and it helps to twist you, to take you around. Again, you might get that little cracky pop thing happening, but that's okay. They're all good things. As we breathe in, we want to unravel and find our way out of the twist. Take a slight lean over to your left to swoop that right leg around and move it into the head of the cow. This top leg no longer points up towards the roof, but it drops down onto the bottom leg. Wriggle out those sit bones so you feel as though that you've got contact onto the floor equally on both sides. And then if you feel like you can go a little further, then obviously that's where we start to hinge. It's up to you, but if you're feeling like your hips are really killing you, well, this is a really great way to try and release them. Breathing in as we rise back up from here. Now if you can, from this position that we're in, come onto your hands and your knees. So you'll just need to use a little bit of your core strength to lift your arm onto the hands and the knees. Unravel these legs and just take a couple of little cat-cows for me, just to get a gentle movement into the spine. So breathe out, chin to chest, round to the back. Breathe in, wind the other way. We did this when we were sitting on our bottoms. Breathe out. Then breathe in. One last one. Perfect. And then set the back into a flat back, what I call a neutral back here. Take your left hand and turn it in towards the center of your floor or your mat or your towel, and it gets, we call this threading the needle. So think of that. Here's going to thread it all the way underneath, and it gets to walk out. Try to keep your head and your shoulders off the floor for me, just to start off. Plant that hand into the floor for me. How like you're trying to grab hold of the floor, the carpet, or whatever's underneath you here. And then start to pull the shoulder away from the hand. That's where you're going to start to feel that really big stretch across your back now. Release the hands slowly. Come back, sit into, we call this child's pose. So when wriggle your bum back into your heels. Here your hands, do like they did before we were on our seated Sukhasana pose. Your palms press into your mat, then they push forward so you can feel yourself sitting right back into your heels. You should feel a really nice stretch into your lower part of your back here. Come onto your hands and your knees. Try that thread the needle on the other side. Your hand turns inwards. It threads underneath the other arm, goes all the way out to the side. You plant that palm onto the floor, and then you do that little pull back action. You're trying to pull your shoulder away from your hand. And get that great big stretch across the upper back again. Release the hands and bring it, and definitely bring it back onto the floor. Slide all the way up into full kneeling on this next one. Take your left leg and bring it out in front. Let your hands reach down towards the floor. You might even want to wriggle this back leg behind. You can see how my back leg's on a bit of an angle. This is exactly what we want here. But on the front leg, the knee's over the ankle. Okay, so we've got this nice stack here, and that's so that we don't hurt this knee. We're trying to give this hip flexor a bit of a stretch here. And when you sit all day, these little muscles get very, very tight. Okay, it's a really nice way to stretch the front of them. You let your hips really start to thrust forward or down. And then what you want to imagine for me here is that your someone's got hold of your ankle out the back here, and they're trying to pull it. Yeah. And what you're trying to do is pull it out of their grip. So in other words, you want to press your shin bone down into your mat. Imagine you can pull that right hip forward towards the front of your mat here, or your towel. And it'll give you a really big stretch across that area that we lock down so much when we sit. And then ease back. And then you're going to bring that leg that's in front to being straight. Pull your toes back, and as you pull your toes back, you'll feel this stretch into your calf. It might feel a little bit tingly, that's okay. Go as far as feels comfortable. Your hands can sit onto the floor, or you can do fingertips, or you can have a little fist here so you don't load into the joint too much. But to get a bit of a deeper stretch, again, into the backs of these legs and into the hamstring, imagine that you can pull this left bottom cheek away from you, to the back of the wall behind you. And as you float your chest a little closer towards the leg, that's where it gets a little ouchy. Yeah, it's okay. It's for all the right reasons. Awesome. Release, bring the knees together. Prepare to send the other leg in front here. Step through. Plant that foot, knee and ankle. They're stacked. Back leg's on a bit of an angle. Let your hips sort of thrust down to the floor. If you haven't got the angle on the back leg, trust me, you're not going to feel it enough. So if it means you wriggle the leg back a bit more, that's okay. Feel like that imaginary person's out the back there holding on to your ankle. Yep, they're trying to pull your leg away from you. You're trying to pull it out of their grip. Keep going, keep going. That's where the magic is, yeah? When you try to pull forward, that's where you really notice it. Good. Here we go. Back into that little hamstring stretch. The toes came up. Yep. Get that calf on. Pull the bum back to the back of your room and let your chest float down. Good. Bring the two legs back together. Come sit with me onto the heels. This is the last one we're going to do, and I'm going to do this so that you can get the last little bit of stretch into your neck. Again, I'm trying to think of ways that might give you some relief after, you know, long hours perhaps sitting at the desk, and help to release a little bit of tension from the body. Drop your chin towards your chest for me on this one. Take both of your hands over the back of your head, sort of like you're sort of clasping, like, you know, I call it like the crash tackle position, elbows together. It's like you're in the plane, they tell you to, you know, put your head between your legs. Chin to chest. What we're trying to do here is imagine that we can stretch this scalp from the base of our skull towards the crown of the head and get a little bit more space here between the vertebrae in the back of the neck. This should feel nice. If you're tight in this upper part of the back, it's awesome too because it's going to give you a bit of a stretch, running down all those muscles that run down the back of your neck here. Release the hands. Take a breath in. Lift the trunk. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Take your right hand, reach it down to the floor. Here's where you get that awesome stretch down the side of the neck and over your shoulder. These are nice stretches. Good. Your head now is going to rotate to look down to the outside of this hip. Yeah. So just turn the head very slowly, but it's looking towards the outside of your left hip. Okay, so if you've got your right shoulder pulling down away from your ear, your head rotates to look down to the other side, this left one. Return the head back to where it was. Soften that shoulder up, bring your head back to center. Here's our last side, ear to shoulder. Okay, so that side becomes a little shorter. Okay, this side's now your longer side, your left side's now your longer side. So this is why we want to press this hand a little bit further down to the floor, open up that side of the neck. Then you get to look down towards the outer hip. Down, 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 down. Bring the head back, align with the shoulder. Soften up the shoulder, bring your head back to the center. We always finish class with our hands in this prayer-like position. We always bring the hands to what we call the heart center. And as we bow our head towards our hands, we get to close our class with this one word. You might know it, Namaste. And let's join together. Head gently bows, Namaste. Thank you, girls, for joining me. I hope that brings you great relief, but calms you and settles you as well. All the very best. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Take care. Stay safe.